Hey, today I want to talk a little bit about tolerance because I keep getting the impression from some people that tolerance is almost like a dirty word among Christians. Have you ever felt that way? As if tolerance is just like, no, like we need to be strong and firm in our faith and keep the heathen away and be intolerant and that's courageous. And I sometimes hear this type of talk and think, like, no, that is not the way that I see Jesus interacting with people who he disagreed with in the scriptures. I don't think that's how the church was built and established in the early church and in any other generation where persecution and strong differences have existed between the believers and the non-believers. Instead, what we see is this commitment to love our neighbor and to love our enemies. That's just what Jesus taught, isn't it? He said, love your enemies, go the extra mile. He said, pray for those who persecute you. And so I think we need to embrace and to actually recover this sense of Christian tolerance. And so what I hear in just media, pop culture, wherever, when people talk about tolerance seems to give the impression that tolerance says, I'm okay, you're okay, everyone's fine. This whole like, you do you, bro, mentality that sometimes just drives me nuts because I think that actually is very intolerant. And here's why. If I agree with you, there's no need for tolerance, right? Because tolerance assumes disagreement. Right? Tolerance actually requires disagreement. Otherwise, there's nothing to tolerate whatsoever. And so when we talk with people and just say, oh no, we actually agree. We might not realize that we agree, but we actually agree. That is actually intolerant because you're not respecting their beliefs enough to say, no, like they actually believe what they say they believe, and I believe what I say I believe. So saying all religions actually teach the same thing and that, all religions lead to up the same mountain but take different pathways to get there is actually incredibly intolerant because you're not respecting the belief systems enough to take them at what they say they believe. Instead, here's what I think we need to embrace is that tolerance means respect despite disagreement. Right? Tolerance means respect despite disagreement. It's not just putting up with someone else, which is what I think a lot of people take tolerance to mean, is that tolerance either means everyone agrees or tolerance is like, well, fine, I'll just put up with you. And I don't want to just be put up with people. And you want people to just put up with you either. I want to be respected. Despite the disagreement. So you still disagree with me and you still think I'm wrong, and that's totally fine. That's cool because I still think that you're wrong. And so we try to persuade each other, not with force and not with passive aggressive, like, fine, I guess I'll just deal with you, but with respect. And so I take your opinions seriously and I want to listen to them. I want to see how I can learn from you, even though I still disagree. And so I'm still trying to persuade you. You're still trying to persuade me, but we're doing so in a way that is respectful, and that is what tolerance really means. And I think that's just an expression of Christians loving their neighbors and of Christians loving their enemies. And so as we embark on this new youth group series, talking about can we coexist, and kind of riffing on those coexist bumper stickers that you see on the back of cars, how do we think about other world religions? How do we engage with people who believe very differently from us? I think we should do so with a high degree of respect despite disagreement, because Jesus calls us to love our neighbor and he calls us to love our enemies. And when we do that, we are loving them the way that Christ loved us, that while we were still enemies, Christ died for us. And so we have great reason to love both our friends, our brothers, sisters, and to love our enemies.